how do you really get to know an ancient civilization? I mean, you could look at their giant temples or their amazing art, but what if we could actually step right into their daily lives? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today by exploring one of the most fundamental parts of any culture, its home.
But first, think about this for a second. What really makes a house a home? Is it just walls and a roof, or is it something more? Is it about family, security, a connection to something bigger than yourself? This is the big question we're going to explore today, all through the eyes of the ancient Maya.
All right, so let's jump right in. We're about to take a guided tour of the traditional Mayan house, which is known as the Na. And this isn't going to be some stuffy museum tour. We're going to build one from the ground up, together, and really see what life was like inside.
So, what exactly is a nea? Well, at its core, it was a single-room house. But don't let that simple description fool you. This structure was incredibly sophisticated, designed to meet the very real, practical needs of a family while also reflecting their deep spiritual and cosmic beliefs. It was shelter, for sure, but it was also a sanctuary.
So let's start our tour on the outside. How in the world did the Maya build a house that could handle the intense sun and the heavy tropical rains of their environment? Well, it all comes down to some truly brilliant, locally sourced engineering.
The secret sauce really was in its walls. They were created using a technique that's actually been used by cultures all over the world, wattle and daub. Now, it might sound a little weird, but it's an absolutely brilliant method. Let's break down exactly how it worked.
Okay, so first up, you've got the wattle. This is a sturdy frame, almost like a basket, woven together from wooden poles and logs. This created the skeleton of the house. Then came the daub, a thick mixture of mud and clay that was literally packed right onto that wooden frame. It would dry hard, creating these solid, breathable, and honestly surprisingly tough walls.
All right, the walls are up. But a house in a tropical climate needs a serious shield from the weather, right? The Mayan solution was simple, elegant, and just perfectly suited for the job.
And the genius here is just its sheer practicality. Using materials they could find right there, like palm leaves, the Maya wove a super thick roof that acted as a perfect shield. It was so dense it could turn away the heaviest tropical downpour, but it also served as a kind of natural air conditioner, keeping the inside cool and shaded from that blistering sun.
So the exterior is built. It's strong, it's protective. So come on, let's step inside and see where the family's life really happened. What was at the very heart of their world?
The moment you'd step into a namat, your eyes would go right to the very middle of the room. And there, you'd find it, the central hearth. This little fire pit was the heart of the home in absolutely every sense of the word.
And I mean, this thing did everything. Yeah, it was for cooking, that was its main job. But think about it. In a world with no electricity, this fire was the only light once the sun went down. It was warmth on those surprisingly cool jungle nights. It was the hub, the place where everyone gathered to share meals, tell stories, and just center their lives.
But a home isn't just about warmth and food, right? It's also where you keep your stuff safe. And even though the now was just one open room, it wasn't just empty space. It had dedicated areas for keeping all the essential items secure and organized. And we're not talking about clutter. They were storing the absolute necessities for survival. Things like food supplies to get the family through, the tools they needed for farming and crafting, and of course, any treasured family belongings. Everything had its place, which is pretty key when you're living in one room.
So we've seen the physical side of the Na, how it was built, how it was used, but there was this whole other layer to its design, right? An unseen blueprint, one that connected this humble little house to the heavens and the gods.
And that brings up a really fascinating question, doesn't it? Why build a house in one specific spot? Was it just, hey, here's a flat piece of land, let's build here? Or was there something much deeper going on?
And this is where you see the two worlds the Maya lived in at the same time. On one hand, yeah, of course the practical stuff mattered. You absolutely needed to be near water and good farmland. But, and this is the amazing part, the placement, the very direction the house faced, was often guided by their cosmic and religious beliefs. Imagine the doorway being perfectly aligned so that on the winter solstice, the rising sun just floods the entrance. How cool is that? You're literally connecting your family's daily routine to the grand cycles of the universe.
So when you put all of this together, the brilliant construction, the fire pit at the center of life, and this deep connection to the cosmos, what you get is something so much more than just a house.
The Na, it was the meeting point. It was the physical space where the mundane, everyday tasks of cooking and sleeping were performed in a setting that was fundamentally connected to the divine order of the cosmos.
I mean, this quote just says it all perfectly, doesn't it? The Mayan home wasn't just practical or just spiritual, it was both, all at once. An absolute masterpiece of environmental design and a sacred space that reflected their entire worldview.
And, that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Take a look around your own home. Seriously, forget the wall color or the furniture for a second. What is its layout, its location? What does its very design reveal about your values, your priorities, and your place in the world? It's a pretty fascinating question when you stop to think about it, isn't it?